Welcome back. In this video, we're going to go over how to delete an in-house signed document programmatically. So we've been going through our e-signature automation series. We've created documents, we've sent the documents, we've retrieved documents, we've retrieved signed PDF files of our documents, right? And now in this, we've canceled documents. And in this video, we're going to go over how to delete a document. So our automations are going to be written in the functions, right? And then we're going to test using an API. So far, we have an API called Inhouz Sign Test, where we've created, sent, retrieved, gotten the file, and we've canceled. We've gone over that in previous videos. In this video, we're going to focus on deleting an Inhouz Sign document. All right. So we have a document here, proposal, test proposal UU2, that was sent, never signed. We are going to delete this document. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a function. We're going to call that function delete Inhouz Sign Test. I'm going to give it a comment here that says delete an Inhouz Sign document. All right. Going to give it a workflow, name of logic, add a step, type in sign. We can see the delete Inhouz Sign document. All we need to do here is provide our document ID. So we are going to be using an API to test. So we're going to be using our request body system generated parameter that runs only in APIs. All right, so we can reference this by just saying request body. Let me just say delete. I have to give the variable a name, right? So I'm going to call this delete response. I could say request body and then map into it using the low code or no code interface, but I'm going to switch the code. I'm just going to type parameter, all caps, request body, matching the way it is spelled. And we're going to have one field called documents ID. Our API endpoint is exposed to the public, meaning that we are not going to have an API key at this level, but all e-signature automations require an authenticated user. So this XAPI key is optional because the system assumes that you could be running this automation from a web application that has a logged in user or from an API that has an API key. So now, because we don't have either of those two in this scenario, we have to provide an API key. But let's just say you had an API, let's say you had a logged in user. That logged in user would also need to have access. So, when you're using this within your applications, you probably still want to go ahead and provide an API key at this level because the local always supersedes the global scope of access. So I'm going to go ahead and add another step. I'm going to call that system user. So get system user API key. So we do have system users, and we have a system user here called Danny Joe. This user has the Inhouz Sign developer access. This just means that this user has that admin access to Inhouz Sign in a non-prod environment. And we're doing our testing in development in this tutorial series. So I'm going to call this API underscore key. Select Danny Joe. But as you can see, it's out of sync. So I'm going to click on the drag and drop button, rearrange. Now I can reference my API key here in the XAPI key option. Add the final step to return the delete response. Okay, we're going to save this. We are going to deploy. I'm going to go into my API, create another endpoint called delete. It's going to be a post request. So we're going to go into the delete endpoint, going to connect it to a function called delete in-house sign test, the one that we just created. We're going to select it, save, and then we are going to deploy to the development environment. All right, it's all deployed, all synced up. Go back into my delete endpoint and grab that URL. Open up a new Postman tab. There'll be a post request, HTTPS. All right, paste that in there. The body tab is going to be JSON. We have one field called documents ID. And we said earlier that we were going to delete this document called test proposal UU2. And here's documents ID. So in your case, if you automated creating the documents, you will get the document ID as part of the response. So you can always take that and store it in your database. And then you could always use that document ID in future automations. And in this case, we're not going through all that workflow, so I'm just going to copy this. But in your scenario, you're probably going to be referencing a database field to get the document ID. So I'm going to go in here and paste this in, and then we are going to send. All right, so it says here that the documents with send status cannot be deleted. Only documents in draft can be deleted. All right, so do we have a document here in draft? Let's see. Oh, perfect. I do have a bunch of them actually. Unfortunately, they're all kind of called the same thing, but we'll just search for this document after the fact to see if it still exists. I'm going to go ahead and copy, paste this in here. Okay, and send. And we have that success message. I am going to go back in here and refresh the page. Go back into the dev environment and paste that document ID, and voila, it's gone. So that is it. In this video, we've gone over how to automate or delete in-house signed documents programmatically. All right, that's it for this video. See you in the next one.